I'm gonna have to go in again. I don't know. I've been talking about these type of subjects: neo-feudal, paganistic, neo-technocratical, totalitarian, democidal, homicidal, maniacal, governmentations, government authoritization. Anyway, I'm gonna just see where this goes. Anyway, this is the article here. You can see it's all displayed, and I'm not selling anything. I'm just reviewing this article and doing a commentary on it. So, and open discussion. So please, just how dark were the Dark Ages? After the fall of the Roman Empire, Europe wasn't quite the horrible and backwards place earlier historians would have you believe. Modern scholars now look at neo-feudalism, Dark Ages in a whole new light. We love it. We want it to go just back to the Golden Age when we were gods amongst insects and divine right, before that pesky Magna Carta and Constitution. That wasn't in the article. That was my commentary. Sorry, I got carried away. I got a little carried away. Sorry. It happens from time to time. Whether it's the idea of barbarian hordes run amok across a continent ruled by the Romans for centuries, or the notion that science and the arts went through a 300-year freeze, the concept of the Dark Ages has always titillated the imagination. In truth, a big part of what makes the era dark to the modern eyes is the relative lack of surviving information. Because there's no survivors. But what we don't know has always been at least as interesting as what we do know. Wait a second. But what we don't know has always been at least as interesting as what we do know. That was a word salady type of way to say that. I don't know why. Did King Arthur really exist? Let alone send his knights on a quest to find the Holy Grail? I mean, here's pause for a second. Is the Holy Grail, is that even in the Bible? I mean, I don't recall if it is or not. I don't recall seeing it in... I'm sure I would. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, so look. PFR. I mean, I probably could just switch over and look this up real quick, but I'm gonna leave some for later. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, yeah, I could eat this whole meal right now, but I might save a little bit for later in case I need a snack. Actually, but I should write it down. Holy Grail. And then, is it biblical? Question mark. But I'll tell you what, this I already do know. And Dan Brown uses the Holy Grail. And that's a red flag that it's probably more like they've Tales of Arabian Nighted religious stuff. Kind of like the term, it didn't say in the Bible that Jesus was stabbed with the spear of destiny. This is a new concept that I'm not sure where it came from, and it's not in the Bible, but it's some add-ons about biblical concepts that I'm not sure if it's not just was hyped up stuff that is whipped up into a frenzy that is actually just kind of like fabulistic in a way. And I mean, King Arthur, that's fabulistic, but I believe King Arthur probably really did exist. But his exploits were probably exaggeratory. And some of the stuff, it seems, there's a lot of exaggeratory, but I believe there probably was a real person that might fit that title. And just like Merlin, these guys probably really did live, but it was so archaic of a time and it probably will be lost to history, just like a lot of the true meanings of any of the Indian stuff, man. It's just the people that had the key, so to speak. A lot of them aren't around, and some of them may be lost to history. Some of the histories, and that's just in the Bible. There's books wrote about and talked about in the Bible that aren't even anywhere. We can't find them. They're not. They don't. They seem not to exist in our reality at the moment. Uh, so it's interesting. It does happen where things can be lost, knowledge can be lost, and things can relatively go back to a Stone Age, like Einstein said. I don't know what weapons World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be with fought with sticks and stones, because it's going to be a great reset of sorts. Because basically, because we're in the atomic and techno crazy a technocracy age, where the technology is so powerful it very much could destroy. We could destroy humanity with it. It's just humanity can destroy itself, like even worse than they could 100 years ago. Yeah, that they could have done it then, but the stuff they got now, it's only a matter of time before that 80s puppet video with Ronald Reagan hits the red button, proverbially speaking. Uh, okay. In truth, a big part. Okay, wait. Was there ever a legendary hero named Beowulf? And how long had his story existed before the oldest known surviving manuscript appeared in roughly the 10th century? Yeah, Beowulf's probably is probably based on. It's just like the book Hiawatha, man. It's like, look, there's real era, like contextual information you can glean from it, but it's almost like it's there's fiction mixed in with fact. And the Indians' form of expression and their poetic kind of expression would be difficult to translate into English. So of course there's going to be some gaps, and listen, some inserts and missing real accurate historical content. But there is stuff you can glean from it, but it's nothing you can really hang your hat on. It's not firm like the Bible, where it's like you can hang your hat on that Bible, and any book the Bible vouches for, you can hang your hat on that too. I promise you, any book that is quoted in the Bible, but you don't, it's not in the Bible. All those books, you can hang your hat on it. That there's something in there that you need disclosure on. God's given us all the disclosure. They've covered it up, but it's in the record itself about the intentionality that it would have been better if we'd got it all, but it just didn't work out that way, because of the powers that be, the powers and principalities, so to speak. Anyway, wait, pause again. Dude, I love chronicles and old tales, especially war chronicles and historical texts, dude. Like the Bible, the Book of Chronicles, excellent book just for action. It is full of action. Just like when I read the History of Ojibwe People by William W. Warren. That book is so entertaining. I mean, I cannot express it enough. And the reason I loved it so much is because it read like Chronicles. It read like the Bible itself. I mean, in a way, at least as far as you can, if you took the Bible and took out the religious over and undertones and just looked at it as historical text, there is a lot of data in there, dude. There's complex genealogy and historical national ethnic records contained within the book, and subnotes. The peoples that they came into contact with were chronicled as well. So I mean, it is definitely valid in a major way that people just don't give it enough credit for. And these texts are entertaining, and you can glean some factual stuff out of it, but you can also have a lot of romanticized, idealized, like fluffy, paganistic, satanistic stuff implanted in your favorite old tale of the heroes of renown. This is in the Bible. It says that the sons of the fallen angels were men of renown, and some of these people that we hear about could have some of that link up. Also, some of them could be the Northern Kingdom, who was lost and spread to the four corners of the earth. It could go either way, but we don't know. It was a dark time, and they didn't keep a. They'd like to destroy the knowledge. They destroyed the Library of Alexandria. You know what I mean? They love to destroy knowledge. It gives them a reset, and it gives them a way to to shuffle the deck of the cards of power. But the few key members hold the trump card, so to speak, while everyone else is forced to deal with the payout and the shuffle. Well, if you were a number 2 card and you get a 10 card, that was a good deal for you. But if you had a queen and you had to put it back in the pot and you come back out with the 2, you're screwed. And that's just, don't you see how it's manipulated though? That the real power structure never had to play the game of musical chairs. It's us, the regular people, that have to do that, and they like to sit there with like a spank theater and watch us suffer. They love it. I'm not joking. I mean, I'm kind of exaggerating, but I'm not really joking. I'm being serious. It's to that effect, where it's a sick voyeur's paradise these days with the Big Brother technology, and they really have the ability they really do have a disaster. Like they can cause a disaster in anyone's life, literally a remote spooky action remotely. It would seem as if you were cursed. Of course, the Dark Ages also refer to a less than heroic time in history, supposedly marked by the death of culture and arts, bad economy, worse living conditions, and the relative absence of new technology and scientific advances. Pause again. On this, look, we haven't had any new technology that sets us free. We have new technology that kills people, enslaves people, but how come we haven't turned technology to to assist the land, to create more food and more freedom for people? And why haven't we learned to integrate a more eco-friendly way of living that's not a concentration camp? You know what I'm saying? They got all this technology, and they've made all these scientific advances, but the economy sucks. And there is a death of culture and arts. All the movies are just filled with debauchery and like desensitizing comedic debauchery. And the arts, it's just like rap back in when I grew up. I mean, it was 50-50. You had the horrorcore genre that was leaning more towards the gangster rap. And you had the hip hop, which was kind of on the horrorcore too, but the horrorcore split off into gangster rap and hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Not everyone was involved in that, but at least the horrorcore, even though it was really hardcore, really dark, satanic, evil, the way they said it was so scientific and sophisticated. Like they were really adept at using big words, like straight out of the dictionary. It sounded like a walking dictionary, and harmonizing. That was during that era. And then and look, hip hop, the fusion of big words, ghetto hood sophistication, and how to mesh the slang and the technical stuff. They were great at that, man. They did a great job at that. The gangster rap was more about harmonizing with the beat to the gangster culture, and the words weren't so important, other than the rhyme and how they connect to the street life. You know what I'm saying? So it went two ways, man. But I really liked that stuff back in those days when it was really smart. But then now the music's catchy, It's street, it's hood, it's got slang, but it's only smart in the sense of being smart alecky or smart ass. It's not smart as the hip hop era was. You know what I'm saying? Those dudes were smart, like KRS-One. This is a smart person. His delivery method wasn't as harmonious as some of these newer, look, dumbed down rappers are. They can harmonize. It's called mumble rapping. The only reason it rhymes is because they're mumbling it. And I mean, I've used this technique when I used to rap too. In the freestyling, I would misquote a word. I would missay it with a twang or a draw on it to make it rhyme. When it normally, if I'd have said it in proper King's English, it wouldn't have rhymed. It would have been unharmonious to the beat. But the fact of being smart and clever enough to insert that there that way is another form of using intelligence to communicate or convey and stick to the schematic of the rhyme. You know what I'm saying? So look, I understand the intricacy, the variation, and the intentionalities behind the processes of doing such a thing, and it took a lot of talent and ingenuity. But now it's like they get to wing more stuff in. Once in a while, you get a dude, man, and they'll do a good job. They'll do the old school a little bit proud. You know what I'm saying? They'll still stick true to the roots. They won't push the envelope all the way off the nihilist side of the table. Because the dudes in that day, they weren't nihilist. They were capitalists, extremely capitalist. Corporatist almost. So look, some of the this get money, and with the mixed with the gang life, was infused with the rap music, and also there was the look, there was the Mark Dice, the meeting that changed hip hop forever. They had a meeting out in Cali with the prison execs and the music execs, and they had a meeting to financier. Last night I just listened to all that stuff from the '90s, all the rap, and it was horrible. And and it was blatantly satanic. I don't know. It was weird. I had cognitive dissonance because this dude said 666 so many times. He said that like 66 times in that damn song. And I was like, ugh, it's just now it's like, it was always repugnant, but now it's like really redundantly repugnant to hear it. So it's like, I don't do it often, but once in a while, I'll kind of just go, just looking at stuff again with the new eyes. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy where I've come from. That era was certainly damaging to culture and art, even though it seemed to promote the dope culture, the thug culture in the arts. But no, in all actuality, it was to kill it. Anyway, while the period continues to fascinate history buffs, scholars, and fantasy fans looking for some tangible link to their favorite mytho-historical heroes. Hear that? Mytho-historical heroes. That's like Hiawatha. But there was real men named Hiawatha. One was a chief, but one was a Huron, and they were cannibals. So there's a few of them, but is it the actual folk hero from the book? Probably not. The folk hero from the book seems to be an amalgamation of different people and expressed in a romanticized way with the overtone of that under and overlaid with that. But the middle, it's kind of like a skeleton that they find. They said they make, when they find skeleton, like old skeleton in archaeology, a lot of those bones you see are actually plaster casts that were inserted to make the thing fit their mold. And they show it to us as if it was all bone. But no, it's actually reconstruction, and they don't really even know if it's actually accurate. So there's room for them to stretch it and bend it and twist it and make it something else. The same thing, it seems, would happen with a lot of these. Unfortunately, our favorite... I love books, dude. I love the fantasy type of books and this semi-fictional... half historical. I love those books too. I mean, but look, I can't hang my hat on it. All I can do is eat the meat and then spit out the bones. And some books have more meat and some books have more bones. Okay, some might not even be worth it. You know what I'm saying? To even mess with in the first place. That's on you to figure out. That's on you to discover. Me, I gotta go where I gotta go to get where I gotta get, and sometimes I get led here and there, and it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, tangible to their favorite mytho-historical heroes, the term Dark Ages has largely fallen out of the use of some serious researchers. Pause again. A mytho-historical hero could be someone also like Cochise or Geronimo. Like, look, they were larger than life. They had fictionalized books wrote about them, like by Wild Bill Hickok or something like that. Back in those days, and they were romanticized. So look, that he's a real living example of how someone could their legend could grow larger than life, but they're actually just really a regular person, and most people, if they were in their shoes, would have done similar things themselves. But the fact that he was a real guy, man, and they had some mystical beliefs though in their culture, and so did Geronimo, and it's interesting to look into that. And I mean, just for historical contextual stuff, you glean details, man. Listen, just because people believe one thing or another, that's what they believe. That's their beliefs, not mine. So just because I'm reading about a person, and I understand this, in order to understand someone, it is important to understand their beliefs because it gives you context for why they believe what they believe. And in one context, if you said that, you'd be freaking a fool and crazy. But under another context, it's like, oh wow, yeah, man, I can totally relate with that. Oh, that makes sense. Ah, now I see why that's that way. I mean, us people, man, just rush to fill in the blanks too much. You know what I'm saying? Or we imprint our historical hero biases onto people, and it's really not them; it's us. It's our adoration and our idolization of people. That's what Geronimo himself wasn't passing his own legend. His hype was coming to life, and people became that hype. It was the people hyping stuff up, and gossip, friend of a friend. I heard from a friend this is what happened, and then you tell a person, and then they switch it up before you know it. Its snowball effect becomes a totally different thing. Geronimo wasn't doing it himself. It was the reputation was doing it. It came to life, so to speak. His shadow had its own reputation. All them dudes in that era, that seemed to happen to him. It's because of the printing press and the fast dissemination of false information as well as information. And that's going on now, even on a massive scale as well. And with all these technological things, you could literally hype someone to make them larger than life when it's just a big. It's just a. In other words, if you had a whole movie team following someone and made it like a reality show, you could make this person larger than life. But it's all scripted and it's not genuine. It's not grassroots. It's not spontaneous. Everything was planned and categoried and cataloged and sectioned, incrementally sectioned to unfold a certain way that the makers, the producers, the way they want it they want you to perceive it. Look, these things just don't happen. Everything on a TV and movie set is controlled. You're looking at a control freak is hoovering in the back, watching everything. Everything's got to be in place. Everything's just got to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, look, it's kind of like a peevish lover. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, man, if you got to have all them conditions all in the fall in alignment to have some kind of reaction, it's like you're just too freaking peevish. Anyway, and it's impossible to ever look to qualify all parameters all the time because there's just too many of them. It's too difficult to do all that. due to some of the assumptions made by those who first propagated its use. No academic uses it today because it's actually one of the most fascinating and vibrant periods about which there are all discovering new knowledge every year, says Julia Smith, a professor of medieval history at the University of Oxford All Souls College. I mean, listen, here's the thing, dude. One of the things about medieval is that's another thing as saying Stone Age, okay? It's to put the idea in your mind that we've been evolving from monkeys and that it's been a slow process of change and transformation. But it's like, no. If you look at low tech, how sophisticated low tech is and how complicated and complex of stuff they all made, dude. Listen, look up a bushcraft pump drill or a bow drill. Watch people start fire with out matches. I mean, and look, you can't tell me any idiot can do that. Monkeys, if monkeys are so smart and they're evolving into us, it seems like now they would have been able to crack rocks together and cook their food by now, but they don't. You know what I'm saying? So they've always painted that I can see this now. They've painted, it's the same thing. When they say the word anarchy, anarchy doesn't mean no rules or no law. It means no controlling tyrannical government. It's like, listen, it's just a lack of a centralized, overreaching, tyrannical government. And it's not communism. Communism is not anarchy. Communism is the opposite of anarchy. Fascism is the opposite of anarchy. And what they kind of had in the beginning is the closest thing is you can really get to an anarchy. Because look, really in the Constitution, it says we are king and our rulers are our subjects. It's not we have to submit for the collective. That's not what this is based on. That's what communism's based on. That's what fascism based on. Totalitarianism, socialism. It's like, no, actually it's the other way around. All you people in government are public servants. You're not kings and queens. You're public servants. Servant. And it's like, no, at this point, because we're not treating them like servants, they need to be treated like subjects. Our rulers need to be treated like subjects so they can see how it feels. You know what I'm saying? Because they are treating us like subjects. They got the game effed up. They got everything all backwards. And you guys need to go read that again. And here's the thing. And it says when the government, Thomas Jefferson said it, when the freaking government becomes tyrannical, overreaching, oppressive, and it's abusive, it is your duty and your right to cast off such a government. And so look, the first step of casting off that government isn't going to war with anybody. It's stop investing any stock in what they're saying. You pay attention to what it's doing. You don't care what they say. I care what you said in that bill there that you passed that I can't see. It'd take me a year to to read through all that. We need to see that. And we would like to see everyone who signed for this, everyone as well. And you're not they're never allowed to do any kind of secret, non-documented, we're without oversight. You know what I mean? You're embarking into the Dark Ages type of neo-feudal kings and queens and nobles. Plantations, buddy. Shadow of the empires. The origin of the term Dark Ages is itself a little murky in the historical record, but typically it was used in contrast to the praise heaped on the shining cultural achievements of the Greeks and Roman empires. See, that's the reason why the Dark Ages is dark, because the Greeks and Romans covered up something that they don't want us to know about, like where the blacks running the earth and the leaders. Is that why it's called the Dark Age and they covered it up? Or were the Chinese over here oppressing everybody? Was the Mongols, did they attack them over there and destroy everything and they just don't want, they're embarrassed because they look like itches with a B in front of it? And they just, I can understand. You don't want to lose face. And then it would expose all this, the historical record is freaking, it's compromised to a degree. It's not like it couldn't be rectified if we just stopped covering for the cover up. You know what I'm talking about? And if you stop just being silent and just let them know that, look, I don't consent to this. I can't, with good conscience, consent to any of your stuff, dude. I want to break up with you and your plans, okay? I want to break up. The origin of the term Dark Ages itself is a little murky in the historical record, but typically was used in contrast to the praise heaped on the shining cultural achievements of the Greek and the Roman empires compared to the knowledge and the cultures that existed after their decline and fall. This concept carried on into an age of enlightenment, when many scholars of the day pointed to the great architectural achievements of the Romans and compared them to a return to simpler wood structures of the following period, says Alban Gaudier, a professional of medieval history at the Universal Caen Normandy in France. I want to pause real quick. See, these permanent settlement it never has really helped men. It's helped the infrastructure of the tyrannical kings. From their stone fortified building, they can oppress their village. And they also can force the village to go fight other people for them. So it's just a use and abuse society. The Indians didn't have permanent settlement, and they were thriving over here. In order to thrive here and not wear out the environment, you got to kind of circulate your territory. And you follow the natural progression of things. When the fish are around, you're camped out where the fishing are running. When the apples come out, well, you're camped out by where the apples grow. When the berries freaking come out, your tribe's hanging out where the berries is at. In the fall and the dead of the winter, they're probably doing a lot of hunting. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, look, it makes perfect sense, man. You gotta go to where the food's at, and it's abundant, and it comes systematically every year in the same time frame. And it would be natural to think you're going to be by what's the consistent that you need? You need water to drink every day. So of course, these people are always going to be by what's most abundant, man, the water. You know what I mean? That's here in Michigan anyway. Other places where it's a desert, I'd imagine they would probably be around a river or a lake or something out there. But some of those tribes out there got water from cactuses. So I mean, it's just the process of deduction. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this concept carried on to the Age of Enlightenment. Many scholars of the day pointed to the great architectural achievements of the Romans compared to the return to simpler wooden structures of the following period, says Alban Gaudier, a professional of medieval history at the University of Caen Normandy in France. The idea of dark barbarian period was also pointed out in contrast to the 19th century civilizations in Europe and America. This phrase, deeply steeped in the 19th century Western European idea that civilizations were superior to others, which today sounds very difficult to hear, Gaudier says. Gaudier. Listen, hold on. This phrase is deeply steeped in the 19th century Western European idea, which some civilizations are superior to others. See, that's the thing. This idea of that everyone has to become the Greek, and now everyone has to be the Roman, or you're a barbarian. Civilization is so uncivilized. It's a total hypocrisy. It's like, okay, look, come join us and fight and kill with us, or then we have to come and fight and kill you and take it by force. I mean, that civilized? I mean, it would seem the civilized are quite savage, and they're just they can't smell their own shizzle. In other words, for some reason. Gautier believes the term still has some use in a strictly academic sense, but particularly as it applies to historians. While Romans were excellent record keepers, historical texts and documents are comparatively scarce, starting with the 5th century and for several hundred years thereafter. It's dark for historians, and it's difficult for historians to understand what happened, he said. Art in the darkness. Art in darkness. But Gautier points that the notable exceptions after the Roman apparatus collapsed, taking with it many of its institutions, such as secular schools, Catholic Church, steeped into provide some form of learning and scholarship in many parts of Europe. Right there. That's why it was the Dark Age, because someone stepped in. They were there to pick it up, to pick up the torch, so to speak, and keep it. They instituted Plato's The Cave on us all over again. I can see that right there. Bam, bam, quick. 33. Cat, holic, urch, Eanity. The urch in Western European and all the regions north of the Mediterranean becomes the biggest element of stability, says Monk's work to copy much of the literature and scientific texts of the Roman period, to a lesser degree the Greek period. Look into Latin, which no one